Our guest tonight will be live from Washington via satellite. Representative James Clyburn, who was at today's big healthcare summit. Obviously, any event of that magnitude involving the President of the United States, members of both parties' television cameras, and talking, it's going to have its skeptics.
The main point of today is political theater.
People are calling today's televised healthcare summit nothing more than theater of the absurd.
I think it's a kabuki theater.
I think it's the Romeo and Juliet, the two families fighting. Do you think that? Do you think it's those families fighting, really?
I don't know, that last one sounded off, but if it's one thing Harvey Fierstein knows, it's theater, so... I mean, really. Look, it's either, this summit's going to be either Shakespeare or theater of the absurd or traditional 18th century Japanese dance drama. It can't be all three, unless, wait a minute, that's right, it's playing at the Brooklyn Academy of Music this weekend. Bill Irwin plays all the parts. My wife is making me go. The point is this. Television pundits are saying this is a serious issue. It should not be treated as a frivolous spectacle.
In America today, we are all getting ready, for some political theater. Hear how we fear this will be acted out. One puppet, the Democrats, the other, the Republicans. And the four groups pulling the strings up here, who run at the healthcare show.
Yes, that's how you have a serious discussion. Not theater of the absurd, dopey marionette puppet-based theater. Come on, Radigan, enough of the toys. Is this an important topic or isn't it?
1 in 5 of the taxpayer patients, by the way, lost their health insurance in the past year alone.
See, okay, now that's a startling fact. Now we're getting somewhere. That's interesting. Please continue along that way.
Lost their health insurance in the past year alone. But back to our puppets.
No, not back to the puppets! You were moving forward away from the puppets, and then you went back. By the way, you're on NBC. What's with the Toy Story puppets? Aren't you going to get sued for that? So is that what we've come to? A simple conversation between opposing ideas must be treated as spectacle? I'm looking forward to this rational discourse happening in Washington. Roll the open.
At last, two parties in one room, conversing about one issue for 6 hours. It's the Bipartisan Healthcare Reform Summit 2010.
I asked for an exploding donkey and elephant at the end. Obviously, there wasn't enough time. All right, so let's get to it. I'm bipartisan curious. Let's get this discussion of the current status of healthcare reform started with both sides staking out what they hope to accomplish. Mr. President, you have 20 seconds.
What I'm hoping to accomplish today is for everybody to focus not just on where we differ, but focus on where we agree. This isn't political theater, where we're just playing to the cameras and criticizing each other, but instead are actually trying to solve the problem. That's what the American people are looking for.
That looks like the most boring Seder I've ever seen, but okay. Senator Lamar Alexander, a lot of Republicans in the great state of Tennessee. Your turn.
We have to start by taking the current bill and putting it on the shelf and starting from a clean sheet of paper.
Okay. There we have their opening bids. One side wants to find common ground and move forward, and the other side would like to start over. Let's start negotiating.
We're not really that far apart. Let's wrap the bill.
We have agreement on conflict of interest. What we simply want to do is start over.
Pre-existing conditions, Billy, we all agree on that.
Start over. We could agree. Start over.
A lot of agreement.
It's time to start over.
Okay, now we're cooking, people. Now we're cooking. You know what I mean? We're getting it going here. We started out, okay, I think we got it close. Let's scrap the whole thing. Okay, now we're getting it. And now, 3 hours later, it's exactly where we are still. All right. But then, something strange began to happen.
What we ought to do is do the Willie Sutton thing. We ought to go for where the money is. 1 out of every $3 that gets spent doesn't help anybody get well, and doesn't prevent anybody from getting sick. At least 15% of government-run health care is fraud. So tomorrow, if we got together and fixed fraud, we could cut health care 7.5% tomorrow.
Wow. That is Senator Tom killing abortion doctors might not be such a terrible idea, Coburn. Making a really salient point about a good way to control costs for health care.
My friend Tom Coburn's remarks, I think we agree with most of them.
That's Senator Chuck. If I was any more liberal and Jewish, I'd have tits and be Barbara Streisand Schumer. Agreeing with him. Oh my God, we're having a conversation about health care! We're doing it! All right. House Minority Whip Eric Cantor, R. Virginia. Take the ball and get some more yardage. We're going, baby.
We don't care for this bill. I think you know that. The American people don't care for the bill. I think that we've demonstrated, in the polling that they don't.
Ruh-roh.
It does have to do with our fear that if you say that Washington can be the one to define essential health benefits, if we assume that Washington could do that, could really take the place of every American and decide what is most essential, what would be the consequences?
Well, you have it. Cantor basically making the argument that if we want to come together on this, we have to agree to keep government out of it completely. Otherwise, costs will skyrocket. He's making the never-been-proven argument that small government is better because it costs less. Let's see.
Let me respond to your question. We could set up a system where food was probably cheaper than it is right now. If we just eliminated meat inspectors.
You know I'm your father. You see how fast Obama took him down? Was just look at Cantor's face when Obama hit him with the old, "You like mad cow disease, do you, Cantor? Is that what you want? Is that?" He's like that. Oh, it's just my bar mitzvah. I don't like this. And Cantor wasn't the only one who had a score to settle with Obama.
Now, both of us during the campaign promised change in Washington. Unfortunately, this product was not produced in that fashion. It was produced behind closed doors. It was produced with unsavory, I say that with respect, deal making. The Louisiana Purchase funding of $300 million for one state. The Cornhusker kickback.
The Rhode Island Blumpkin. The Kansas City Rusty Trombone. Cleveland Steamer. John McCain coming to the summit in a quick attempt to challenge Barack Obama's campaign slogan of hope and change. It's been an apparent last-ditch attempt to pick up the state of North Carolina.
Let me just make this point, John, because we're not campaigning anymore. The election's over.
Did you hear McCain? I'm reminded of that every day. And it's killing me. My heart stopped 6 months ago. I'm only alive on vengeance fumes. Now, obviously, there was grandstanding, there was posturing, but there were some really substantive points made here. And there were issues where there was great agreement on health care on both Democratic and Republican sides, and room for negotiation. This really did have some important steps for the American people's understanding of this complex and essential issue. Or, to put it another way, media,
Was any progress made? Is anyone winning? Well, let's talk about who had the best advantage so far today.
At least in the first 90 minutes or so, I'm not seeing any real chance for progress from this at all.
Is anyone actually winning this debate?
If this were sort of the Winter Olympic Games or whatever, how would you score this?
I would disqualify you for sucking.